Welcome, G3 investors. This is Greg Gallagher, and we're going to take a look at week 28, ended July 16th, 2021. Well, we did have some action this week, and it was mostly in the Russell, which ended up being down 5.1% this week. As you can see, it dropped off here for the last 4 days in a row, and it is now officially in correction territory. So the question is this a turning point for the market, or what do we've got here? So, well, let's take a look at it. So if you look at the NASDAQ 100, which will be the equivalent to the NASDAQ, you can see that we've had a nice run here and went up to new all-time highs. And this ETF has been one of the 7 that we follow that made new all-time highs in July so far. And we're in a pullback mode, but we're still holding up. So, it's still near its all-time high. The NASDAQ is only off about 2.5% from its all-time high. So we're still holding up good there. So if we look at the SPY, the S&P 500, another one we trade, made a new all-time high there, 437.92, and we're in pullback mode. So very similar look. If you're unfamiliar with how we do our charting, the blue line here is the 20 period or 20-day simple moving average. The red is the 50. The blue dotted line signifies an all-time high. The green was the last breakout, and the red was the bottom for the last 6 months or year or so, or whatever time period we're looking at. Let's go on. Now we trade IWF, which is the Russell 1000. And why do we trade that? Well, this is an example. We just looked at the IWM, the Russell, and it was in correction mode down below its 50-day moving average, and looks like it's headed lower. And this one is holding up well, made a new all-time high. If we go back and look at the Russell a minute, IWM, it made its all-time high back here on March 15th this year, and it's been going sideways and had couple corrections here, and it looks like it wants to go lower to me. It's a pretty ominous looking chart there. XLK, that is the technology select sector. Another sector had a nice run here to new all-time highs, and we're in pullback mode. Now, when we're in pullback mode, that means we've got stopped out of everything, because we're swing traders, short-term traders. We're trading this market that way because it's been in a bull market for 12 years, and it's way overdue for a 10 to 15 to 20% correction. So that's what but we don't trade what we think, we trade what we see. And right now I see that this is still holding up pretty well. Another ETF is XLY, which is consumer discretionary sector. And that one's a little bit bigger pullback there, but again, it just made a new all-time high and it pulled back a little bit. We'll get to one here that pulled back a little bit too much. XLV, actually a really pretty chart, and that one actually popped up on Friday. I thought I was going to have to get back in that one because we did get stopped out on this move here, but I held off on it. I'm waiting it till it goes above this 129.60, which is its all-time high. Now, SMH, that was the one that surprised me this week. This is one sideways chart. Now, it's at or near all-time highs. So, for and long-term investors, you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? But it's hard to make money, even though we have made money on this ETF, when it's just in a box and it's going sideways at the top. But this thing made a new all-time high at 263.86 on the 14th. That I believe is Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, and we're down below the 50-day. Now, I call this either a down. Looks like it's going to go into a downtrend or what. I wouldn't call this a correction quite yet. I'd want to see confirmation of this move, but boy, it sure doesn't look good right now. So we'll have to see what happens on that one. Now, let's look at some let's look at the transports. I always like to look at that. See, now that made a new all-time high back here in May 10th, and it is definitely in correction mode. But that's not really a big downdraft there. It kind of, made a lower low here than it did here. So maybe who knows? This market's still trying to make up its mind. And there's a lot of earnings going to come out next week. So that's going to be a big difference. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to determine whether this is simply a pullback for everybody but the Russell, which is definitely in correction mode because it's 8.3% off of its all-time high here, or if we're just experience a buying opportunity, if you will. So we will see. I want to look at XLI. Let's look at the industrials. Now, what do you call that? Made a new all-time high back here on May 10th, and it hasn't went anywhere. And it's just, I don't know. I call that one sideways. I mean, it's the blue has crossed down under the red, which signifies that it should go lower, but it's kind of flattening out and looks to me like it just wants to rest a bit before it decides which way it's going to go. Now, IBB, that's the biotechnology, and that's definitely a sideways move. It had a nice little move here with some nice volume, and then we just kind of went sideways. Now we don't know where we want to go. Definitely sideways. Gold, we had a position in gold on this little bounce above here. We caught it right in here, and it just has went absolutely nowhere. So I took a little loss on that one. At any rate, where we've been making our money, it makes no sense, but we made, let's see, I think we've made $1,900 so far this month, and that's not much. It's not saying much, but when you got a market where, the best of the best, the Dow is doing minus 1.2%, and you're up, a little bit. You got to take the gains where you can get them. But we've been making money on the short side, and surprisingly, it's on TWM. Now, it's hard to look at this as making money when you're looking at a 3-month chart. So let's go to a 1-month chart here, and so you can see what has happened. We broke out above this, and again, we more or less day trade this. So these moves here, we made a little bit of money each time. I think we made $400 or $500 that day and a few others. So not really much in the way of trading and making money. This has been a pretty dull month so far. And what does that signify? I can't really tell you. I got to wait until more earnings come out so that we can see where this market wants to go. I always like to take a look at the heat map. Here is a 1-week performance of the S&P 500, and you can see we don't know where we're going. Amazon not too good, Facebook, Google, Apple, blah blah blah. No, NVIDIA, there you can see the semiconductors. NVIDIA is the leader in that group, and it took it on the chin, and that's why we were down on the semiconductors this week so much. Visa and MasterCard are holding up, but the banks, they all reported, and they all took a hit after reporting, and they reported great earnings and blah blah blah, and they beat their estimates and all that good stuff. But the revenues were kind of a disappointment, I think, is what held them back. So sometimes you win and sometimes you don't. This is for week 28, ended July 16th. This is Greg Gallagher, and I wish you all success, good luck, and good trading.